Thanks for viewing this video. What we have here are some leadership team members from Hicksford King along with the staff. One of the reasons we are making the video is the video we reviewed from George Gervin was significant, and we really appreciate that you took your time to videotape it for us. What we wanted to do though was kind of model some of the conversations we did not hear on the video that was sent to us. And so instead of sending an email or trying to tell you what it should look like, we thought we would demonstrate and model using some of the evidence that you guys have. So in this situation, I'm using some of Mr. Dominguez. So I'm Mr. Dominguez. Ms. Dixon is Mr. Villanueva, serving in the principal role. And these are other teacher leaders. Ms. Bonillas, Mr. Chung, and Ms. Shields. I know I shouldn't have eaten that. I have not spoken to Ms. Bonillas, Ms. Chung, and Ms. Shields about any of this. They haven't seen the video. I haven't even seen the video. But what I wanted them to do is learn from what we're doing as well as part of the leadership team. So I've asked them to keep it real and be themselves, and like any leadership team meeting, ask questions, get clarification, throw in things as well. So I just kind of want to set the stage. This is meant to help us move forward in what we're trying to get. We appreciate George Gervin meeting with us for about an hour or so. We appreciate the time you met in your leadership team meeting, but quite frankly, you spent about 15 minutes on this topic, and we thought it was more important. And what's more important, we think, we didn't kind of hear some of the same things we heard together in our time together. So we thought we would model it and see if you could use our video with yours to see how to get to the point of how we get better evidence notes. The end goal is better evidence notes that can help teachers be more effective. We applaud George Gervin for the great scores we've been hearing about, all 100%. And that is great. Congratulations on that. The teacher observation and the value added are two sides of the big picture. This is a teacher observation piece that we would like to get as well with fidelity to 100%. So with that, I want to turn it over to Ms. Dixon, who is serving in the role of the principal, so she's Mr. Lee.
All right, so let's do the goals. Cell phones on silent. Please have your cell phones on silent. Perhaps we should agree to disagree if we get to a point on our evidence notes where we don't agree. Take care of your needs and be honest. Let's be honest. So that's our thing. So let's do 1, 2, 3. Higgs, Carter, King ensures each student's success, whatever it takes for each one. So we've all signed in. Our school goal. Ms. Bonillas, can you read the school goal that is on the leadership team meeting agenda?
School goal, move reading to 85% from 60%, and math from 90% from 85%.
Thank you, ma'am. So our first agenda item, Ms. Bowden.
We will revisit the art of evidence notes. This item will feature how to consistently write evidence notes with complete evaluations.
So our goal is for all of us to be aligned with evidence notes. All of the evidence notes should look similar because there are protocols that need to be followed with our evidence notes. So what we're going to do with Ms. Yarbrough, that's sitting in as Mr. Dominguez, sorry. She's Mr. Dominguez. She's going to read her evidence notes to us. After she reads the evidence notes, we'll have a conversation. We'll practice writing evidence notes. This is all of our responsibility. So our outcome is for all leadership team members to understand the importance of the teacher observation with every step and how to write it in the most effective way so that we can give the teacher the maximum job embedded professional development through evidence notes, through taking notes while you're observing, So through scripting, through evidence notes, through the teacher observation plan, the teacher observation plan, as well as meeting with the teacher to get them to that. So our follow-up each week, every leadership team meeting, we're all bringing all of the entire teacher observation packet, and we're going to review. We're going to hold each other accountable to what's expected. So, Mr. Dominguez.
So, can we pick one?
Yes, absolutely.
Which one?
You can pick any. We have 12.
Gotcha. I apologize. I apparently didn't write evidence notes for student engagement or active learning.
Okay, so we have 10.
Okay. Oh, okay. I guess differentiation.
Okay.
I wrote the teacher had different levels of assignments for the students' needs. And I'm not sure what's wrong with that, since that is true.
Okay, let's go to the rubric to differentiation. And the score that the teacher received for differentiation was a 4. That's the score that you gave the teacher, a level 4. So if we read through career, Ms. Shields, can you read career, the indicators?
Okay, for career number 1, teacher displays significant understanding of each student identified learning needs. Number 2, teacher designs learning activities with student choice to encourage student interests and skills. Number 3, teacher alters instructional methods and learning activities to meet the individual needs of students, but does not alter standards.
Okay, so one of the important parts of when writing evidence notes is for the rubric language to be in there. In order for a teacher to get a 4, they have to have mastered everything in 3. You can't move to the next level without mastering in 3. So, Mr. Dominguez.
Sorry, I put it on.
So, Mr. Dominguez, tell us how the teacher displayed all of at least level 3, to move them to level 4.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
How did the teacher display these things that are level 3, based on your evidence notes?
So having different levels of assignments isn't enough for differentiation, because that is what the teacher had. And you want me to match that to one of the indicators?
Yes. Or all, because in order to become a 4, you have to match it to all of the 3s, the careers.
So the teacher had different levels of assignments because the teacher was able to alter the instructional methods and learning activities to meet the individual needs of students. But she didn't have to alter, did not have to alter the standards. So what are you telling me that should look like? Because that's what I meant.
Okay, that's what you meant. Okay.
Yes.
So if we go to our sample that we have here
Oh, okay.
and go to differentiation in there.
Yes. You want me to read that?
Yes, ma'am.
Teacher displayed some understanding of student learning. There were 2 students, one that sat in the front of the class facing the board, and one student that sat in the corner in the back of the room. During the pair share, the teacher went to each of these students to give them an opportunity to share what they learned and to answer any questions they may have had. Teacher incorporated student interest. Teacher asked, what is hypothesis?
Hypnotize.
Hypnotize. What does hypnotize mean? Should be what does hypnotize mean? Okay. The teacher then used the birthday girl's necklace to show them how they can be hypnotized. However, there was no evidence of designed learning activities with student choice to encourage student interest. And that was a 3 on this example.
Yes, that was a 3.
Okay?
So the question is, what's the difference between the evidence notes that we just read and your evidence notes that you read to us?
Well, there's a lot more detail in this one. Then I know I only have one statement. Are you saying that's not enough?
That's not enough because evidence notes is evidence. Anyone can jump in at any time, by the way.
Well, the way I see it is you have, the teacher had different level of assignments for the student's needs. It doesn't specify that you're meeting each individual student at their needs.
How would I write that? Help me. So I'll go ahead and rewrite. Because what I saw was that the different levels of assignments was because of different needs. I understand I didn't write it, so how would I write that?
Well,
To provide,
if you go back and look at the other differentiation on the sample over here, it says there were 2 students, one sat in the front facing the board and the other one sat in the back of the room. And that could be one of the reasons. I mean, what was the reason they were sitting there? It could have been differentiation.
That is the reason. They got distracted easily, so they needed to.
so I didn't have that in my
You see that
class.
clear? So she didn't have. So
So she just had different levels, like, this is the Spanish, so she had an intermediate Spanish maybe in there, a Spanish 1 in there, and a Spanish 2, and a
so
Spanish
how
3.
did she do that? Besides just that, because you can differentiate.
That was just different
things.
assignments. I saw them get different assignments.
And now that's
How
a good opening statement. But, there's no
But tell me what to
evidence.
write.
Okay,
Oh, I could keep that as an opening statement?
yeah, now,
Okay.
now you need your evidence. What was your evidence that
I
they had
gotcha.
different assignments? How do you know? Did they have, were they color coded? Did you look on one of them and one of them had 3 questions and the other one had 5 questions?
How could you tell the students' needs?
As I said, the teacher had different level of assignments for the different students' needs as evidenced by the Spanish 1 students had a gold packet and the Spanish 2 students had the blue student. So I knew that the teacher knew where they were because they got a packet that represented where they were.
Did the teacher say anything, do anything to show
Yes.
that?
The teacher said things like, I'm giving each of you the packet for your meet. Even if you're Spanish 1, but you're working at the Spanish 2 level, you got the blue packet. So even if you're Spanish 2, but you may be struggling with some pieces, you got the gold packet. So the kids knew which packet they were getting.
So
and I need
that's
to put that
you
in
need
there.
to put quote the teacher.
Gotcha. Okay. The
So-
teacher said, I'm sorry.
Well, can I just jump in and say what you've written so far is following in the 1.
Oh.
If you look, it says teacher
Wait.
demonstrate. Sorry. If you go to number 1, novice,
Yes.
it says teacher demonstrates knowledge of students' learning needs. Teacher incorporates student interest into lessons. And 3 says teacher differentiates instructional methods or content. So that's what you're talking about right there. That's still not a 4.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm not through though.
No.
Right? I see what you're saying. I'm just trying to get more here of what happened. And what you're saying to me is it still may not be the 4.
Yeah.
You haven't heard evidence of a 4 yet. Okay. And so I'm hoping we get there.
Haven't had her.
But I want to type as we go so that I end up with something that's more consistent with what evidence notes should look for what I saw. And then I understand maybe you're gonna maybe recommendation that maybe what I saw once I get it all in may not be a 4. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I understand that. Just give me 1 minute. Okay.
you read what you have?
Yes, the teacher had different levels of assignments for the different students' needs as evidenced by the Spanish 1 students had the gold packet and the Spanish 2 students had the blue packet, sorry about that. The teacher said, if you are working above level 1 in Spanish 1, I gave you the blue packet, and if you are working at level 2 status, I gave you the gold packet.
Did the teacher stand in proximity of anybody? Like, was she closer to the lower level students? Was she?
No, she was in the middle.
She was in the middle.
Yeah, she kind of balanced out the classroom.
Okay.
I think it was like 12 kids, one of them.
Okay.
Do students have a choice? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Do students have a choice in what they do?
In this assignment, no.
Okay.
Not in this assignment.
And I think too, what Ms. Bonias was talking about, this definitely is showing that you have knowledge of their learning needs, you know what level they're at, but was there any proof of complete understanding? Like, it sounds like some kids were on this level, some kids were on this level, but was there anything that shows that it was customized for any particular student in that class?
And how do you know that students were interested? Or how are they interested in what you were doing?
Student choice to encourage. Teacher designs learning activity with student choice to encourage student interest and skills.
So you just gave them a packet. She just gave them a packet and said, "This is what we're doing."
And she had a PowerPoint and a lot of illustrations. But I can see what you're saying. I don't have any reference to what students were doing in any of my evidence notes. I don't have any evidence of that.
Is that something that has to happen whenever we're writing these evidence notes? We need to make sure that, okay, I need to address each one of these to make sure if I'm going to...
So it's not a checklist. It is not a checklist. So it needs to be based on mastery. Like,
And any person should be able to read your evidence notes and see what happened in the classroom. To, like you said, I don't see, if we go back to 1, I see this as a 1. The evidence should match the score. So when you just
like you said, it looks like maybe it wasn't a 4. Because, and quite frankly, I don't have my notes with me. But I didn't reference students and anything students were doing.
Everything, if we look at it, everything says teacher, the teacher, the teacher, the teacher, the teacher, the teacher, the teacher.
But you know, cooperative learning, I did have here that the teacher had roles and responsibilities for each of the students and had them rate themselves. So that was on the cooperative learning one. But in the other ones, I don't reference that the students did anything. Quite frankly, it was so long ago. I don't remember if there was any, I don't remember what the student interaction was. And because I didn't reference in the evidence notes, I would have to go back to my scripting notes to see if I wrote down in terms of differentiation what the students were doing, because she had a PowerPoint, she had a lot of illustrations, it was timely, she had a rubric for the assignment, but I don't have any evidence of what the students actually mastered. So I don't know if it was a 4 right now. I really think I need to double check this. But I do get the idea that I needed to have more substantive evidence of what happened in the classroom so anybody could see.
What would be the however statement?
Oh, so I think I can come up with one.
Okay.
All right, so looking at the rubric and looking at teacher alters instructional methods and learning activities to meet the individual needs of students, but does not alter the standards, I could write, however, based on what I remember, however, the students did not appear to know that they may have had a differentiated need.
And that's straight from the rubric?
Yeah. Like individual needs. I wanted to write it with the student point of view since I have a lot of things as a teacher on there. So I guess I could write the teacher did not know be an easier statement, but I kind of wanted to focus on the students since I haven't used the students that much. And so the students did not appear to know that they had different
Well, yeah,
aided needs.
because the student is the expert level. If the student has the 5, and since it was supposed to be close to a 5, that would be your however would be out of that.
Well, and then I can have, and however, the teacher had different color packets, but for the different levels. But it was not clear that the students knew what was different about the packets.
It was not clear that the students knew what they've mastered, like their mastery.
Okay, knew what they were mastering, or what they were supposed to master. They were supposed to master. So, if I'm hearing this correctly, if students know what they're supposed to master, and if the packet is differentiated for the student need and they know their needs, that will make their learning more effective and they're more likely to master the content. And if I can explain this to the teacher, then she knows how to improve her lesson for next time.
And she knows how to read each of the indicators and improve her lesson with each.
She can actually go to this indicator herself and say, oh, okay, this is talking about the learning activities need to meet the needs but not change the standard. I need to have evidence of that. I think you get it.
So as we just went through this, I would like to ask, what is supposed to be in evidence notes? We went through this in teacher observation training. We write them this way. What are the things that should be in evidence notes? So let's take 20 seconds and write down what's supposed to be. We did it with this one, but what's supposed to be in evidence notes? 20 seconds starts now. Five seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a stopping phone.
Evidence.
You can't.
Well, because of everything that we just did, evidence, right?
Evidence.
Okay.
Evidence is supposed to be direct quotes. So whatever one that you hear that they did that you don't have written down, please add it to your list. Evidence, direct quotes, you already have one.
And however statement.
A however statement,
Language from the rubric.
rubric language.
I was going to say statements to reflect the rubric language. With the evidence to back up the statements.
And it's factual. It's what you see,
Oh, factual,
Facts.
not opinions.
not opinions.
All right, so
So
I
I wanna
did
say-
have a fact in here. I didn't have enough evidence to back it up. I didn't have a however statement. I didn't have a direct quote, and I didn't have any rubric language. So I had at least one thing. I had a fact, and so what I'm getting is that I need to add more of these things. Why though? Why is all this important? Isn't this just paperwork?
Well, like you said earlier, whenever you were talking about it, you said, I need to go back and go to my script. If it were here, then you have that evidence to fall back on. So that's one point.
And like Ms. Dixon said, you got to be able to read the evidence notes and see from the evidence notes alone, without seeing the teacher or video, that it actually is a 4. It has to support the score, that it's between a 3 and a 5.
And looking at that, you actually have to help the teacher that you're speaking with to actually reflect on what she needs to do to improve for the next time you come in to observe her. So these factuals will go right back. There's nothing you can argue about because it's just what's happening in there. And you'll be able to go back to the rubric using that rubric language to match it up with the rubric to get an understanding of what you really need to do.
So at this point, differentiation might not have been a 4, because I don't remember. And I need to go back to the notes to see if there's more evidence to support a 4.
And the post-conference plan, we're not there yet, but of course the evidence notes lead to the post-conference plan. And the post-conference plan is the strongest professional development that any person can get, because it is directly what I actually saw when I walked in your classroom. And it is, you can move on every level as a whole from your post-conference plan, especially with, here you go, Ms. Bonez, here's your evidence notes to revisit. And I know some people say that the teachers don't revisit, but if you train teachers from the beginning in unit meeting to revisit the evidence notes, how did you move here? When I come through, I'm going to watch you with differentiation, because I see differentiation, you got a 1. Based on these evidence notes, you received a 1. So when I come in, I'm going to, so all of this is tied together. Right. The evidence notes isn't an independent document. It goes with the post-conference plan, it goes with the walkthroughs, it goes with the whole teacher. So even in choosing the outside professional development that you get. So this isn't an independent document. It's not just, oh, we could need to do paperwork to turn in, but it moves the teacher, it makes the teacher far more strong than the outside professional development.
It is ongoing, because you're looking back and continue to grow based on the evidence notes which you have written on the teacher, and that teacher can be able to go back and, like you said, continue to grow on that.
But think of the power if you go to if I observe Ms. Bowman and I say, Ms. Bowman, bring all of your evidence notes here. And what if Ms. Bowman's learning goal is the same on every single one? Right. She hasn't grown. She hasn't moved with learning goal. And you want to be able to see that, oh, this time I referenced it one time, but next time I'm going to reference it, throughout the lesson, and then at the end see if they actually mastered it. So.
And then I would also say, if I read the evidence notes and I look at these examples and I'm trying to learn, I would think, oh, that's all I have to do to get a 5, and it's not the proper.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'm done. I have to work on
that. Right.
Oh. That's good. You know what connection I just made with
And this was in November,
right.
So that teacher might not have grown. Okay.
And as a leader, it helps you to grow. Like you said, how could I reword this so that teacher can actually understand? Because you can give it to them one way, and then thinking of another way that you can actually get that teacher to understand what you need them to do to grow.
Alright, so did we, for the camera's sake and to close out the video, we would like some feedback from George Gervin. Did they kind of get a sense of what we were expecting to see on their video? A more in-depth discussion of some of their evidence notes. We spoke a lot about Harvard statements, but we didn't actually have this in our meeting with them. But on the video they gave us, there was no reference to.
They didn't pull out any evidence notes.
They didn't look at any. Did they have the rubrics there? No. So we would like them to have the rubric at there, and maybe an example of a well-written one to compare it with. And so that's what we modeled. So hopefully to the George Gervin staff, that is what we wanted to see. We're not asking you to redo your video. We are asking you to learn from what we just tried to model, is what we expected to see on your videos, what you saw in our meeting with you. And that was, we had the rubric, we had some evidence notes we were comparing for, and we had an example.
And we rewrote.
And we rewrote during the leadership team meeting. When you guys sent the video back to us, we didn't have evidence of that. So we need you to make a note of this and make a connection, maybe give us a reflection on what we will see at the next leadership team meeting that you have to schedule now, because now we need to talk about how we're going to correct some of these going forward. So I think what we'll ask Jesse for is some feedback, maybe some pluses and deltas, or not pluses and deltas, like a formative assessment problem. Something like 3 things I learned, 2 things I'm okay with, 1 thing I know is going to be different. That's what we'll do. We'll ask for a triangulation from our video compared to their video and what they have learned, and then we can release the checks. Okay?
Okay.
So then we'll have evidence. The video did not give us enough evidence to support that what we did in our meeting transferred to their leadership team meeting.
Right.
So now that we've modeled for them, we can ask them, okay, triangulate for us what you've learned, the differences from the 2 meetings, and then bring that in so we can release the leadership check.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.